Cleromancy is a form of sortition, casting of lots, in which an outcome is determined by means that normally would be considered random, such as the rolling of dice, but are sometimes believed to reveal the will of God, or other supernatural entities. In classical civilization, in ancient Rome, fortunes were told through the casting of lots, sortes. In Judeo-Christian tradition, casting of lots occurs relatively frequently in the Bible, and many biblical scholars think that the Urim and Thummim served this purpose. In the Hebrew Bible, there are several cases where lots were cast as a means of determining God's mind. In the book of Leviticus chapter 16 verse 8, God commanded Moses, "And Aaron shall cast lots upon the two goats, one lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat." According to Numbers chapter 26 verse 55, Moses allocated territory to the tribes of Israel according to each tribe's male population and by lot. In Joshua chapter 7, a guilty party is probably found by lot and executed. In the book of Joshua chapter 18 verse 6, Joshua says, "Ye shall therefore describe the land into 7 parts, and bring the description hither to me, that I may cast lots for you here before the Lord our God." This action is done in order to know God's will as to the dividing of land between the 7 tribes of Israel who had not yet received their inheritance. Also, in the first book of Samuel chapter 14 verse 42, lots are used to determine that it was Jonathan, Saul's son, who broke the oath that Saul may, "Cursed be the man that eateth any food until evening, that I may be avenged on mine enemies." In the book of Jonah chapter 1 verse 7, the desperate sailors cast lots to see whose god was responsible for creating the storm. Then the sailors said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity." They cast lots and the lot fell on Jonah. Other places in the Hebrew Bible relevant to divination. Book of Proverbs chapter 16 verse 33, "The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from Yahweh." In 18:18, "The lot settles disputes, and keeps strong ones apart." Book of Leviticus chapter 19 verse 26 KJV, "Neither shall you practice enchantment, nor observe times." The original Hebrew word for enchantment, as found in Strong's Concordance, is pronounced norkash in English. The translation given by Strong's is to practice divination, divine, observe signs, learn by experience, diligently observe, practice fortune-telling, take as an omen, and 1.to practice divination, 2.to observe the signs or omens. Times in the original Hebrew is pronounced ornan in English. Its translation in Strong's is to make appear, produce, bring, to practice soothsaying, conjure, and 1. To observe times, practice soothsaying, a spiritism, a magic or augury, a witchcraft. 2. Soothsayer, enchanter, sorceress, diviner, a fortune-teller, barbarian. In the Hebrew Interlinear Bible, the verse reads, "Not you shall augur, and not you shall consult cloud." Deuteronomy chapter 18 verse 10. "Let no one be found among you who performs, or Kesem literally means distributes, distributions, and may possibly refer to cleromancy. Kashaf seems to mean mutter, although the Septuagint renders the same phrase as pharmakia, so it may refer to magic potions. In the book of Esther, Haman casts lots to decide the date on which to exterminate their Jews of Shushan. The Jewish festival of Purim is a remembrance of the subsequent chain of events. In I Chronicles chapter 26 verse 13, guard duties are assigned by lot. To Christian doctrine, perhaps the most significant mention of lots is in the book of Psalms 22:18, "They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." This came to be regarded as a prophecy connecting that psalm and the one that follows to the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. Since all four Gospels tell of the Roman soldiers at Jesus' crucifixion casting lots to see who would take possession of his clothing. One other notable example in the New Testament occurs in the Acts of the Apostles 1:23-26, where the 11 remaining apostles cast lots to determine whether Matthias or Barsabbas would be chosen to replace Judas. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, this method of selection is still occasionally used. In 1917, Metropolitan Tikhon was elected Patriarch of Moscow by the drawing of lots. In the Coptic Orthodox Church, drawing lots is still used to choose the Coptic Pope, most recently done in November 2012 to choose Pope Tawadros II. German Pietist Christians in the 18th century often followed the New Testament precedent of drawing lots to determine the will of God. This was often done by selecting a random Bible passage. The most extensive use of drawing of lots in the Pietist tradition may have been Count von Zinzendorf and the Moravian Brethren of Herrnhut, who drew lots for many purposes, including selection of church sites, approval of missionaries, the election of bishops, and many others. This practice was greatly curtailed after the General Synod of the Worldwide Moravian Unity in 1818 and finally discontinued in the 1880s. In Scandinavia, Tacitus, in Chapter 10 of his Germania, describes casting lots as a practice used by the Germanic tribes. He states, to divination and casting of lots, they pay attention beyond any other people. The method of casting lots is a simple one. They cut a branch from a fruit-bearing tree and divide it into small pieces which they mark with certain distinctive signs and scatter at random onto a white cloth. Then, the priest of the community, if the lots are consulted publicly, or the father of the family if it is done privately, after invoking the gods and with eyes raised to heaven, picks up 3 pieces, one at a time, and interprets them according to the signs previously marked upon them. Quote, in the 9th century, Ansgar, a Frankish missionary and later bishop of Hamburg-Bremen, observed the same practice several times in the decision-making process of the Danish peoples. In this version, the runes were believed to determine the support or otherwise of gods, whether Christian or Norse, for a course of action or act. For example, in one case a Swedish man feared he had offended a god and asked a soothsayer to cast lots to find out which god. The soothsayer determined that the Christian god had taken offense. The Swede later found a book that his son had stolen from Bishop Gautbar in his house. In East Asian culture, in ancient China, and especially in Chinese folk religion, various means of divination through random means are employed, such as kikian. In Japan, omikuji is one form of drawing lots. I Ching divination, which dates from early China, has played a major role in Chinese culture and philosophy for more than 2,000 years. The I Ching tradition descended in part from the oracle bone divination system that was used by rulers in the Shang dynasty, and grew over time into a rich literary wisdom tradition that was closely tied to the philosophy of yin and yang. I Ching practice is widespread throughout East Asia, and commonly involves the use of coins or sticks of yarrow.